Hey everyone, welcome to the latest edition of the Cartoon Flashback, hopefully in 4K. And today we're going to talk about a Sonic animated series that surprisingly I have yet to talk about here on this series since I began this series back in the early 2010s. And that Sonic series is Sonic Underground. And let me be the first to say that, in case you're wondering, if you're new to this series, no, Sonic Underground is not a continuation of the Sonic animated series that came before it on Saturday mornings known as Sat AM. Instead, Sonic Underground is its own entity. It's its own entity because it takes place in a different universe, an alternate universe. A universe where, believe it or not, Sonic is royalty, and he has siblings, and his mother is the queen. That's right. Sonic is a prince. He has a brother named Manic, that's a prince, and a sister named Sonia, that's a princess, and a mother known as Alina, that's the queen. And basically, the central pivot of the whole show, from a story arc perspective, is a prophecy given by a character called the Oracle of Delphius that foretells of the reuniting of Queen Alina and her children and the overthrow of Robotnik, who overthrew them. That's right. And what's interesting is you have the Oracle telling the Queen this, and then later on telling her children it, but after he tells the Queen, he goes and tells Robotnik. In other words, basically rubbing it in Robotnik's face or letting Robotnik know, hey, no matter what you try to do to prevent this from happening, it's going to happen no matter what. Now, with that being the central pivot for the story arc of the entire series, the heart of the series, and basically the interesting dynamic of you have Sonic, Sonia, Manic, and not alongside them, but along the way, helping them when she can, the mom, Queen Alina, doing what they must to make sure the prophecy comes true. On the other side, you have Robotnik and his new minions, called Sleet and Dingo, doing whatever they can to prevent the prophecy from coming true. So it's an interesting scenario that is basically helping to push forward this central pivot of a story arc and make it seem as important as this Oracle character makes it out to be. Now, one of the things people did enjoy about Sonic Underground, and I am one of them, is it was a blending, a hybrid, if you will, of both Sonic shows that came before it. Adventures, which came on in syndication and was more of a slapstick Looney Tunes Tex Avery-like show. And of course, the ever-popular Sonic Sat AM that was on ABC on Saturday mornings that was more serious, dark, and gritty, and more action-packed. And Sonic Underground was basically the blending of both those elements. It had the comedy, the humor, at times the Tex Avery slapstick of adventures, as well as to blend in with it equally, it had, when needed to be, the seriousness, the dark, the grittiness, the moments that made you really feel for the characters. So it had all of those in a perfect blend. Heck, it took inspiration from both series for some of its story arcs and characters. Like from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Robotnik in that series had two henchmen. 3 actually, but 2 at most times, called Scratch and Grounder. Here, Sonic Underground decided to take inspiration from that, and instead of giving him 2 robotic minions like they were, he gives them basically 2, or they give him basically 2 anthropomorphic like dogs or wolves or Australian dogs called dingoes, one called Dingo and one called Sleet. And Sleet was basically like the brains of the outfit because he would carry this device that he would use to change Dingo into whatever they needed. It was kind of like a metamorphosizer-like device. And then, borrowing inspiration from Sat AM, was the origin of how Robotnik took over, basically overthrowing the family the royal family, that is. Heck, even throwing an Easter egg of the royal family, or at least one of the previous royal families, being, believe it or not, the Acorn family. That's right, because there's a statue of King Maximilian Acorn that gets toppled or destroyed during Robotnik's coup in Sonic Underground. So that's one of the things that, like I said, fans liked about it, was it also had that blending of both series that made it feel actually kind of unique in its own way. Now, what was interesting about Sonic Underground was you would think you would think that since Jaleel White voiced Sonic, he was going to voice him here. Well, he did. But it wasn't just Sonic Jaleel voiced. No, Sonic actually voiced all three Hedgehogs. Not Alina, thankfully, but Sonic and his siblings. That includes Sonia. Thankfully, though, they didn't have Jaleel do the singing for the characters because I think that would seem a little weird. Anyway, though, Jaleel did actually a pretty good job with this because, of course, playing Steve Urkel and the many relatives of Steve Urkel in Family Matters, he basically has an idea of what he's doing when it comes to impersonating a female voice. And there are times that I'll admit it. I don't know if anybody else will admit it, but there are times when he voices Sonia, it doesn't sound like it's him. It sounds like it's an actual female voice, just high-pitched. That's about it. Now, speaking of voices, like I said, thankfully they didn't have Jaleel do the singing. Instead, they actually hired independent singers to come in, up-and-coming singers, I believe, to come in and do the singing voices, do the singing vocals for the characters. And whoever they brought in, I thought honestly did a great job. I mean, for Sonia, when she would get a song on her own several times, the female artist they brought in to do her singing, I thought did it magnificently. In fact, there was one song in an episode where Sonia has to save both Sonic and Manic from being roboticized, and the female singer that's doing the singing for her just knocks it out of the park. And you know what? Speaking of singing, the Sonic and his siblings that are known as Sonic Underground, that's their band name, as well as, of course, the name of the series. You know, they're not the only ones that sing in the series. No. Any of the allies they meet up with sing as well. There's even an episode where Sonia reunites with her friend Mindy, and Mindy ends up singing a song with the Underground in the background. You know, as background singers, that is. So, yeah. Overall, the singing, it was alright. And the songs, I thought, depending on whether it was as a group or individually, I thought they were pretty good. I mean, the very first song they sing in the series, I thought was great. It really kind of like not only introduced you or reintroduced you to the characters, who they were and what they were going to probably be about, but it was done so well. And I think it was one of the longest songs in the series. Because these songs, they would go for about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes at most. So, and they were pretty good. They were actually catchy. Sometimes you could actually snap your fingers to them, sing along to them. They were actually pretty good. You know, not Grammy Award winning or Emmy Award winning or AMC or AMA Award winning, if you will. But still, they were decent for an animated series. And that is indeed one of the things that fans could live without, and that is the singing. Some fans have actually come out and said, hey, they don't mind the songs, they don't mind, you know, the siblings singing the songs if they have to, but can you wait until maybe the end of the episode to do it so it doesn't like just come out of nowhere? Because sometimes when they would do a song, it would be at the beginning, it would be in the middle, or right at the end. And that would be it. And some fans would be like, why can't you just wait till the end to do it and then just let the rest of the episode play out? I mean, I'm sure that they enjoyed the fact that when some episodes would start with a song right off the bat, and the song obviously had nothing to do with the plot, that, you know, they would be glad, hey, it's out of the way, now we can focus on the plot. And that would happen at times. So yeah, the singing, the inclusion of the musical interludes, music video-like interludes in the episodes, whether they had something to do with the plot or help progress the plot, or they were just standalone songs that came out of nowhere, either at the beginning or the end, or even in the middle. You know, some fans could do without with. I thought they were fine. Again, I thought the songs were good. As a matter of fact, for a short time, for a promotional period, they actually sold a CD. I think when the series came out, I think I may have it. I'm not really sure. But when the series officially came out on DVD, they packaged into that set, along with the DVDs, a CD of the songs. I think that's what they did. And you can also find a majority of the songs in MP3 format on a fan site somewhere online. But overall, I didn't have a problem with them. You know, I didn't have a problem with them. I thought at times they were good. And, you know, like I said, they weren't Grammy worthy or American Music Award worthy, but I thought they were good. I thought they were okay. They had a good beat to them at times. Yes, sometimes the songs can be a little cringy. I will admit that, but I thought they were good. I thought they were cool. Overall, when I look back at Sonic Underground, like I said, the only thing that really disappoints me and anybody else that would have to criticize it for one thing is the fact that it didn't have a chance to close out its story, you know, correctly. It didn't have a chance to resolve its main story arc correctly. I mean, the one thing that we were given from the very start, it never resolved. And that's the one thing people would criticize about it. That's the one thing they would criticize about it. Now, thankfully, people at what's known as Archie Sonic Online are planning on continuing the Sonic Underground story, or at least doing a proper conclusion to it. Because originally, before all this behind-the-scenes legal stuff went down over at Archie Comics, Ian Flynn, despite how you feel about him, Ian Flynn, along with other members of the Sonic creative staff at Archie Comics, were planning on doing a Sonic Universe issue, which would have been originally issue 50. I think it was supposed to be issue 50, where it would conclude the Sonic Underground story arc. Basically, Ian Flynn was originally planning on giving Underground a finale that, you know, it's so long and rightfully deserved, I guess. But that never happened. That never happened because, of course, Archie Comics and Sega parted ways due to the behind-the-scenes legal issues. And now you have the Archie Sonic Online team getting ready to pick up where Ian Flynn left off and maybe not only give Sonic Underground a proper conclusion, but maybe do what perhaps they feel should have been correctly done, and that is, instead of doing one issue, do a multitude of issues, basically 4 or 5 issues to close out the Underground franchise of Sonic. So again, overall, in closing, I enjoyed the series. I thought it was good. I know some people have their opinions about certain moments, you know, certain inclusions of things like the songs and stuff, but I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it, and maybe someday down the line, you know, a new generation will discover it and say, hey, this is pretty good, even if it has songs in it, you know, coming out of nowhere. Maybe they'll discover it, and maybe somehow down the line we may get an official, proper, animated conclusion for Underground, you know, in the future. But that's all I'm going to say, though, guys, on this edition of the Cartoon Flashback, focusing on Sonic Underground. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Comment down below. I'd like to hear from each and every one of you. What were your thoughts on Sonic Underground? How did you like it? And that's about it, guys. So until next time, God bless. Take care. I'm out.